Last night, Donald Trump set the world on fire. He ripped the Democrat Party to shreds, the ones that actually would show their face at the State of the Union. And he gave out some information that not a lot of people, not a lot of media are covering, but it was absolutely monumental because it can set the stage for the midterm elections in 2026. It can set the stage for the presidential primary in 2028, and more importantly, Trump's successor, so that we can continue this Make America Great Again, America First movement. He made some moves whenever he first came back into office. He got Elon Musk and Doge, Big Balls, and all those guys involved to find the fraud. And now he has created a fraud czar. J.D. Vance is being deployed to root out all of the fraud. And it starts in Minnesota. Nick Shirley and a handful of others have proven that. Donald Trump called out Ilhan Omar to her face, saying that she was responsible for the loss of life for Americans in Minnesota. And I'm sure because of this fraud that there has been. All the Leering centers, we haven't seen anybody complaining. No parents are complaining because they can't get their kid into a daycare, right? We're not seeing that. And it's pretty interesting to see how fraudulent the Democrat Party is. And none of them will come out and even mention how good this is for America when fraud is exposed. J.D. Vance is on the case, and I'm glad to see it. Now, last night, J.D. Vance, after the State of the Union address, went full bore for the Democrat Party and basically just ripped them, as you see here, for not standing up when Donald Trump said, please stand if you think the government is here to work for the American citizens and not illegal aliens. Not one single Democrat stood up. None of them. Some of them were asleep. Many of them were wearing Ukraine pendants. Think about that. Think about who the Democrat Party is actually working for, because they told you who they were working for last night. And it's really disgusting. And J.D. Vance ripped them apart. And I'm glad to see it, because I believe that this is what the American people need to move forward from the Democrat Party. And more importantly, this is going to solidify J.D. Vance's next move in his political career. And if he pulls this off, if he pulls off finding the fraud, this is his to lose. This is his to lose. I don't even think anyone watching right now can tell me who the actual leader of the Democrat Party is.
Well, I saw a couple of things, Bill. First of all, obviously, most Democrats didn't stand up or clap. And what a shame that is. What a sad commentary that is on the Democratic Party, that the idea that the American government should stand for American citizens, not illegal aliens, that shouldn't be controversial, but apparently it was to the Democrats. But I will say, Bill, something that I saw that probably most TV viewers didn't see was really the cowardice, because there were a few Democrats who sort of politely clapped. They didn't want to stand up. I guess maybe they were worried about being primaried by the far left fringe of their party.
Why do you think a Democrat would not stand up when the simple question is, who are you working for? That's what it boils down to. Are you working for the American people, or are you working for the illegal aliens? And you see right here, all of the Democrats are sitting on their hands. Nancy Pelosi's husband's probably sitting on something else, but they're all sitting on their hands. This shows you who they're working for.
But they were all looking around. They weren't actually saying, you know what? I'm going to stand and support this because this is a common sense, obvious statement. They were all looking around for cues from their colleagues because they didn't have the courage to stand on their own. And that, more than anything, Bill, is the saddest commentary on the Democratic Party, that not only will they not stand for the idea that Americans should come first, they won't even have the courage of their convictions. They lean on the person to their left and their right rather than actually have some conviction That is unfortunately what's true about Democrats in Washington today.
Well, it is being talked about a lot of how many Democrats chose not to go last night.
The Democrat Party not showing up is one thing, but the ones that did could not even just take a stand for America. That scares the hell out of me. But I'm glad that we saw it on the world stage. I'm glad the world saw it. I'm glad independent voters saw it. I'm glad Democrats saw who their elected leaders are working for. The other big story with Donald Trump announcing J.D. Vance as the fraud czar. He is shutting down and withholding Medicaid funding to Minnesota because of the ongoing investigation into the state's rampant fraud. And him and Dr. Oz are in conjunction to root out this fraud and find where the money's going. American tax dollars is going somewhere. We don't know where, we don't know to who, but I want you to hear this clip from J.D. Vance.
Americans. So we're announcing today that we have decided to temporarily halt certain amounts of Medicaid funding that are going to the state of Minnesota in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money. Now, what is this going to mean? What this means is that, first of all, the providers on the ground in Minnesota have actually already been paid. The state has paid those providers the money. What we're doing is we are stopping the federal payments that will go to the state government until the state government takes its obligations seriously to stop the fraud that's being perpetrated against the American taxpayer. There are a few different ways that we're doing that.
There are no repercussions right now for fraud at this level. Now, you or I, we miss a tax payment. We miss, reporting our $600 transactions through PayPal. We go to jail. But state level, federal level corruption is where this is. And this is how you cut off the head of the snake.
A few different affirmative actions that we're taking today. Dr. Oz is going to talk about those, but let me talk a little bit about the spirit of this and why we're doing it. So number one of the examples of fraud that we've seen in Minnesota that we verified that is just awful is that a program that existed to ensure that autistic children had access to some after-school services has made a number of people rich, not by providing services to needy children, but by allowing fraudsters to take money that ought by right go to American citizens and to American families, and to set up sham businesses, set up sham clients, set up people who are not even autistic but claim to be autistic in order that they benefit from the money that's out there. Now, what does that mean? Number one, it means that a lot of people are getting rich off the generosity of American taxpayers, but more fundamentally and more importantly than that, it means that there are kids in Minnesota who deserve these services, who need these services, and they're not going to those kids, they're going to fraudsters in Minneapolis. That is unacceptable, and that's the sort of thing that we're cutting off with this action today.
This is a pitiful display of fraud. They are using disabled children for personal gain. They are using American taxpayer money that is supposed to go to families that have disabled, autistic, maybe Asperger's, children with learning difficulties. That's where this money's supposed to go. And it's not going there. It's going to Somalia. It's going to Dearborn, Michigan. It's going to all of these third world sanctuary cities. And if you think this is only happening in Minnesota, I got another thought for you. You're crazy. This is happening everywhere. And luckily, David Hoke and Nick Shirley exposed this because it could have been going on forever. And there's no telling how far back that this has been going on for. Without Donald Trump being elected, we would never know the corruption behind the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens. Without Nick Shirley and the help of some of these other people, we would never know the amount of fraud happening in Minnesota. I commend the president for doing something about this. actually taking boots on the ground investigation and making a move. This is JD Vance at his finest, and he is a pit bull. He's got a wife. He's got children. He has skin in the game. And I'm sure many of you do too. And I know a lot of you know more about this than I do. And I would love it for you to leave a comment down below of what you know that you think that I should know and what I should look into. I live in Arkansas. I haven't seen any Leering centers here, luckily, but I'm sure the fraud is happening here too. I'm not that gullible. The other thing that happened last night was Donald Trump called out Senator John Thune on the floor and said, we have to get the SAVE Act passed. He called him out right in front of all of his colleagues. He called him out in front of 90 plus million Americans. And about 83% of America wants the SAVE Act to pass. Democrats and Republicans alike want this to happen. And lo and behold, today, Senator John Thune came out and made a statement that he is going to put it to the floor. I say a little too late because we should have never reached this point in America where we have to worry about only Americans voting in the elections. But let's get it done, John.
Well, we will. We'll put the Democrats on the record. And it's a stark contrast, Aisha. The Democrats, even in the chamber last night, having to sit there and try and defend allowing non-citizens to vote in American elections. That is a losing proposition for them. So we will get a vote on it. And we are right now in the middle of a government shutdown, so we've got to try and get the government opened up first. But in due time, we will get that up on the floor. We will have a vote on it. We will make sure that the Democrats are on the record. It is a stark contrast between Republicans and Democrats about how they want to handle elections in this country. And this is going to put them, I think, in a very difficult position. And it's an issue, if I were running as a Democrat in the midterm elections in November, I wouldn't want to have to defend.
Well, John Thune, you bring up a good point. It is a very important issue. And I want you to quit sitting on your hands. And when you say running as a Democrat, this would be an important issue. Right now, you're acting like a Democrat because you're dragging your feet. This is February. The primaries happening around the United States are going on right now. And there are people voting in these primaries that shouldn't be voting in them. And that can in turn change the midterms coming up in November. John Thune, get it done. This is the Ben Dyke Show. I really appreciate you watching. Tune in every morning, 6:30 a.m. Central, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. We do a live stream every day. Leave a comment down below. What is more important to you? The SAVE Act, rooting out the fraud, or just winning some primaries and holding the majority for the primaries coming up in November 2026? Smash a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.